From a shark's eyes covered with teeth to a mysterious spine found in the American River, and even some jars of human tongues, here are 10 unsettling discoveries. Number 10. Eyes and teeth. How do you feel about the fact that some sharks have teeth covering their eyes? There's nothing quite as unsettling as the newest discovery that says whale sharks have tiny teeth all over their eyeballs. If you know anything about whale sharks, you'll know that these are the biggest sharks in the ocean. But now, they're even freakier than we thought. This finding was initially published in the journal PLOS One, and it goes on to detail that whale sharks have several different mechanisms for protection. And one of those mechanisms is that their eyes are covered with dermal denticles. This is an adaptation that has not been found on any other vertebrate. The dermal denticles are tiny teeth that are used for protecting the eyes of the whale shark, almost like a layer of armor. They basically reduce the risk of any kind of damage being done to the surface of the shark's eyes. And if that wasn't unsettling enough, the study also found that whale sharks are able to retract their eyeballs inside of their sockets by roughly half an inch, 1 centimeter. Imagine being able to voluntarily suck your eyeballs into your head to avoid danger. That sounds gross, but it would probably come in handy at least once or twice in your life. As for humans having teeth on their eyes, I can't see that as being very beneficial. The next time you tried to rub your eye, you'd probably cut your hand on your eye teeth. Number 9. Grenades in the backyard. Nobody wants to find grenades in their backyard. In 2020, a man digging trenches in his yard with the purpose of installing a sprinkler system made a pretty disturbing discovery. It was a warm Sunday afternoon in Saratoga near Congress Springs Park in California, and in the middle of shoveling, the homeowner stumbled upon a pair of live fragmentation grenades and a full artillery shell, all of which appeared to have been buried in his yard for years. The man immediately dialed 911, and the sheriff's office bomb squad came to the rescue. The bomb squad collected the ordnance and then detonated it at a remote location in the nearby park. And while everything ended peacefully and without anyone getting hurt, imagine if the guy had accidentally hit one of the pins out of the grenade with his shovel. He would have ended up missing both his legs instead of having a new sprinkler system. Even though the grenades found appeared dormant and inactive, they were very much still dangerous. There are lots of stories about people finding unexploded ordnance in their backyard, but this is a story that could have actually had seriously deadly repercussions. Have you ever heard of someone near you discovering very old weaponry or explosives in a park or in their homes? It's more common than you'd think. Let me know your story in a comment below. Then be sure to subscribe if you haven't already to stay up to date with all the latest content right here on American Eye. Number 8. Werewolf Skull. Whether this next one is real or not is anyone's guess, but so far as the story goes, a Bulgarian farmer supposedly found a chained box that contained a werewolf skull. This happened while the Bulgarian was plowing a new section of a field in the small village of Novo Selo in Macedonia. The alleged skull looked very much like a wolf's, but with an enlarged cranium that makes one think of a type of primate or human. After the skull was photographed and shared with government wildlife officials, they deduced that the skull was likely part of a wolf which had suffered from Paget disease, a condition that sometimes causes the skull to grow in size and appear human-like. Of course, it might even be a fake. When it comes to this kind of discovery, there's no real way of telling. Werewolves have certainly been plentiful in Balkan folklore since way before modern times, and it's a little suspicious that the skull was found chained in a box, as if a werewolf had been decapitated and then the head buried so that it could never prowl the streets again. But that's just superstition. Sure, some people believe that you can be born with the ability to shift into a wolf, but there is absolutely no scientific evidence that this is real. As for the skull that was discovered, it's in all likelihood some type of hoax. It's true that werewolves are supposed to be dealt with using an exorcism and then decapitating the head and burning the body, but that doesn't prove a thing. Although if the skull is indeed real, then it looks like Macedonians really do know how to take care of a werewolf. At least, they know how to dispose of one properly. Number 7. A secret message. It doesn't get much more unsettling than open a box of Christmas cards and discovering a desperate plea for help from somebody you've never met. As reported by 7 News back in 2019, a young 6-year-old girl in the middle of writing Christmas notes to her friends found a hidden message inside of her box of cards that was apparently written by a prisoner in China. The young girl had gotten the card from her local supermarket, and inside the package, she found that somebody had written on one of the cards saying, "Please help us and notify Human Rights Organization." Basically, whoever was making those cards must have been an inmate in a Chinese prison and was being forced to work against their will. While many people might just think it was a rude prank, it absolutely wasn't. We know this because according to someone from the Institute for Human Rights and Business, it's not illegal in China to force prisoners to work. In fact, it's usually compulsory for prisoners in a Chinese prison to work, even if it is against their will. And even though the supermarket chain that sold the cards claimed they would never allow prison labor in their supply chain, that's really just a lot of fancy word. Although according to the news report, the supermarket chain has halted production at that factory. But as you can probably guess, the factory will just pick up a new client in no time. Number 6. Razor blades at the playground. Just imagine showing up with your kids at the playground only to discover that there are razor blades everywhere. This is a seriously unsettling discovery and is undoubtedly making people nervous about bringing their children to anywhere in public. This happened in a Michigan playground when parents found roughly 40 razor blades scattered throughout the area. Authorities very quickly closed the playground and all other public parks nearby while they investigated the safety of the other recreational areas. But what makes this story really disturbing is that the razors seem to have been placed with the intent to harm. Some absolutely insane person littered the playground with razors, placing them on slides and other pieces of equipment with the intention of hurting young children. Make no mistake, this is the sick act of a deviant person who needs serious help. According to the report from Fox News, witnesses told police that they saw 4 teenagers loitering around the park who could be responsible for this heinous act. As of September 2020, the city was offering a $1,000 reward for any information that eventually led to the arrest and conviction of the psychotic people who planted the razor blades. Hopefully they catch whoever it was. Number 5. Jars of human tongues. Moving on from dangerous razor blades, let's take a look at a Florida home in which police discovered the gruesome remains of many human tongues preserved in jars sitting in the house's crawl space. The preserved organs were discovered during an inspection of the foundation of the house, whose previous owner had been a researcher from the University of Florida. While this may seem immediately sinister, it's likely not quite as alarming as it sounds. While it's obviously extremely unsettling to discover human tongues preserved in jars sitting in a crawl space of a house, it's likely that the previous owner had taken them home as part of his work. Some of the jars are dated as far back as the 1960s, and in 1988, the previous owner of the house was actually a dentist involved in a severe case of oral squamous cell carcinoma, which is essentially mouth cancer caused from smoking. It's likely that the dentist took the tongues home as research, then put them in his crawl space and completely forgot about them. Still, you have to feel sorry for the poor guys who stumbled upon some grisly artifacts. Number 4. Placenta found at the beach. It's not every day that you're walking along the beach only to come across the remains of a human placenta. This happened at a place called Goose Spit Beach in the town of Comox in Canada. The British Columbia RCMP are now asking the public to help in determining exactly who the placenta belongs to. It's an unusually unsettling discovery for the quiet Vancouver Island, and it has raised a lot of questions about what exactly is going on at the beach at night. A woman made the initial discovery early in the morning as she walked along the beach, probably just trying to have a nice start to her morning. Then, out of nowhere, she found the human placenta sitting in the sand as if someone had given birth on the beach in the middle of the night. According to the news report from Coast Mountain News, the local authorities are concerned that the placenta could be associated with a mother and/or a baby who are in desperate need of immediate medical assistance. And after all, anyone who has their baby on a beach in the middle of the night and then leaves the disturbing remains for strangers to find is probably in need of medical care, either physical or mental. Number 3. 40,000-year-old wolf skull. If you weren't already a bit worried after learning about one unsettling werewolf discovery, I thought it would be fun if we take a look at this severed wolf's head found preserved in the permafrost in eastern Siberia just recently, back in 2019. The discovery itself is unsettling by the simple fact that the head of the wolf had been perfectly preserved by the permafrost. When it was discovered, it still had its teeth, its fur, and its nose even still shined black and wet just like an ordinary wolf nose. But this was no ordinary wolf. It would have lived about 40,000 years ago, around the same time as mammoths, saber-toothed tigers, and cave lions. This breed of wolf was basically an ancient dire wolf, and it lived with the other prehistoric beasts that our ancient ancestors would have hunted. Thanks to how well preserved the wolf head was, scientists were able to build a digital model of the brain and the interior of the skull for further study. According to the original story from CNN, the area in which the head was found is extremely rich in fossil discoveries and preserved remains of ancient beasts. This is because, as the planet continues to get warmer, the Siberian permafrost is melting and revealing an entire world that lived before our own recorded history. Other important discoveries found in the same region include a 42,000-year-old foal complete with liquid blood and urine, and of course an outbreak of anthrax thanks to a frozen reindeer carcass from 75 years ago. Number 2. Glass meat. If you thought you were done with unsettling discoveries, you were wrong. This next story is about a man who found glass inside of the hamburger meat that he purchased from Walmart. The man was in the middle of making hamburgers with his son when something sliced through the plastic glove that his son was wearing as he shaped the patties. Upon closer inspection, they realized there was glass embedded inside of the hamburger meat. As you can imagine, both the father and son lost their appetites pretty quickly after the unsettling discovery. But what makes this an even more disturbing story is that after sharing the incident on social media, other people came forward claiming that they too had had similar experiences. The man later phoned Walmart and explained what happened, and they gave him some more meat and some coupons. But I'm not sure how comfortable I'd be taking more meat from the store that just sold me meat with glass in it. In any case, the guy is apparently not looking for money. He just wants people to know what's going on, and for that, you can't really blame him. NBC News reached out to Walmart about the incident, and they sent back a standard reply saying that they were looking into the matter. The big question still remains: who put glass in the hamburger meat, and what kind of maniac would do such a horrendous thing? It's almost like the razor blades at the playground all over again. It really makes you wonder if people are losing their minds all over the country and sabotaging everything in sight. Not even meat is safe anymore. Number 1. Spine in the river. The last unsettling discovery on the list for today is a spooky one. TikTok users made an extremely grotesque discovery near a haunted river. The TikTok users stumbled upon what was very clearly a spine from some kind of animal. The users uploaded the video immediately, as young people do, and one of the youngsters narrated the discovery while another picked up the spine to observe it. Let me just tell you something immediately. If you ever find what you think is a human spine at the river, do not pick it up. Leave it where it is. What makes this story really creepy is that the place where they found the spine is considered one of the spookiest locations in all of Sacramento. Just earlier that year, a young boy had drowned, and there were even 2 bodies found near the river the previous January. After the video went online, most people thought the spine belonged to a deer or a dog. And in a follow-up video, the youngsters said that they found more bones in the area and the spine was almost certainly from a deer and not a human. But in any case, probably the last thing you want to find during a relaxing day at the river is a collection of bones. However, if you live in the countryside or have any kind of experience where trees grow, you likely already know that bones are literally everywhere in the wild. And there's a significant difference between the spine of a deer and the spine of a human. Which of these discoveries do you think is the most unsettling? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, thank you for watching. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. See you again for another unsettling video.